To many who are now learning about Jewish issues, October 7th of 2023, when we had thousands of hostages taken from a music festival, innocent civilians, many who were under the age of 20 and, just shy of 20, and also families who were living in their houses and sleeping when they were brutally attacked and murdered and raped and lit on fire, and Hamas, the terrorist organization, filmed it, live streamed it so their whole families could see. That's when a lot of people started paying more attention to these Jewish issues. However, the anti-Semitism that has been brewing in this country has been brewing. Ever since I was in college back in San Francisco State in 2008, 2009, I graduated in 2010 with a journalism degree. I ran the San Francisco State magazine, which is an award-winning magazine, The Express, and I was voted in by my peers. I didn't even pass the prerequisites yet to be that editor. And so it put me in a position where I really felt like I could make a difference in the world. And I took a Muslim studies class. It was an international relations class, and it was all about the identity of Muslims and the Arabic world, and not all of the Arabic world is Muslim, of course. And during that class, it was really evident right away, this was 18 years ago, it was evident right away that the objective of the class was to fuel anger and hate towards Jews and the West as a whole. And some of the ways that this was obvious in this class that I was taking was just the fact that for my final, I needed to make a whole presentation about why Palestinians hate Israelis so much, and I wouldn't. And so I did a poem about peace instead regarding how similar we are. And I've been to Israel, and I've seen how Palestinians and Israelis live together. Palestinians are Israeli, according to certain Palestinians, but the Palestinian identity who are actually living in Gaza, for example, is an identity where they do want the destruction of the Jews. They want Israel to no longer exist. And that really is one of the hallmarks of most people's definition of Palestinian identity. And the thing is that if you've got anti-Semitism at this level brewing in universities, you can only imagine how that will create more terrorism in the United States. I was scared. Even back then, there were protests, and there was a lot of talk about murdering Jews while I was in college at San Francisco State. It turned out that the students who were Jewish a couple of years later sued San Francisco State over the public means of communication being used to talk about murdering Jews. And the courts decided that while this was all true, the damages would be $1. And so what we have seen since then is that anti-Semitism in certain areas has really gone unchecked. And when we had what happened on October 7th happen of 2023, it became a national issue that even the layman or the laywoman was now paying attention to. And once again, we saw universities being this horrible, horrible melting pot for those who are looking for a community to get it with terrorists. And what we saw was staggering. And in the past year and a half, anti-Semitism has gone up so much that, like I've mentioned, over half of all hate crimes are against Jews these days. I was reading in the Israeli Times last night that 21% of all U.S. voters, according to a Harvard-Harris poll conducted just a few days ago, I believe it was January 19th of 2025, it was just a few days ago, and the poll said that 21% of U.S. voters support Hamas over Israel. And that gives us a lot of work that we need to get done. We have a lot of work to do to be able to counteract that, because it's not a Jewish issue, it's an American issue, it's a Western issue, it's an issue of Arabic countries and Muslim countries as well, because Hamas is a very, very dangerous terror organization. And so our focus at Imagine Equality is to really make sure that our future generations don't have to deal with the fear, particularly in colleges, which is where I have personally noticed that it starts. But I know that it starts in lots of other ways, that for young kids, growing up in their families. For Palestinians in Gaza, they grow up throwing bombs and missiles at Israel every single day. It's basically a rite of passage, and that's been going on for decades. And we need to stop the hate and come together. And you need to understand who you're dealing with if you're one of those terrorism sympathizers. And you need to understand that there's a lot of work to do, but through education, we can do it. And we don't have another option. We have to do it, because what we saw in New Orleans to start our 2025, right, with a terrorism attack, that's commonplace in places like France, where I've also witnessed the planning of the terrorist attack in Paris. I was one of the unlucky ones to witness that. And I don't want to go into too much more detail because this stuff is not fun. It's scary, all right? So what I want to say is that the terrorists are here, and we need to make sure that as a country that we are properly educated, that we're not fueling hate, because the truth is that we really could be next if we don't start to educate more. And the time has never been more important to start this education. So I'm excited to start empowering more leaders, like I always have. I was a mentor for over a decade through Big Brother, Big Sisters. I've got a couple of young women who I've mentored formally through the program. Served on the board there. I've served on many boards of both private and public sector companies. And now I am excited to help all of you. And so let me know, how it is that we can help clarify anything on your mind. This is a loving zone. This is not a hateful zone. And my experience in private companies and nonprofits, I know will serve us well. And I'm also looking forward to more leaders coming and joining us. So we're going to dig into everything from imposter syndrome, as well, that a lot of our women face, to the Jewish issues that the entire Western world is facing, and much more. Everybody belongs here, and I can't wait to have you and discuss more with you. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a blessed rest of your day.